Hey yo, friends and famo. It is Tempo, and here we are with another episode of Pyreside Chat. I'm joined by Big Jon, as usual,
Hey,
and this guy. Some call him a gameplay engineer, a technical lead, but everybody knows he's the guy who turns ideas into coded reality, the dabbler of design from New Zealand. Give it up for my boy Toby the
the
cutie.
dappler of design.
What
I
is
love
going
it.
on?
Hey, hello everyone. Welcome.
Oh,
The
how you doing
toaster.
today? I heard it's pretty early for you right now.
Yeah, I haven't had much day yet, so we'll see how. Hopefully, we can kick it off on the right foot then.
Hopefully you had a good night. Did you get to eat anything for breakfast today, or
I know,
you just going in empty stomach? The hunger
but
is
that's
real.
okay. Like I can't even eat this early. It'll come later, and then I'll get ravenous after the show and be like, ah.
I'm the same way,
Yeah,
man. Oh well, good morning to you, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, for those
no,
that
no
don't
worries.
know, Toby is you might see him in Discord quite a bit. He's very active, he's very vocal, and he's just an all-around awesome dude, you know. And today we're gonna learn a little bit more about him and what he does here at SunSpear Games. So I hope you guys are excited for it, because I sure am. So Mr. Toby, I must ask you,
Yeah,
I mean, shoot, here it is. You're on the Pyreside chat, and the people want to know who this guy is. Tell us a little
sure,
bit about yourself, man.
sure. Um, I'm 30 now, which is horrible to say out loud. That just sounds like a really high number now that I have to say that. Um, but yeah, I'm from New Zealand. Spent most of my life here, and with some large trips abroad in between. Um, and I live in Christchurch, which people might know because it had a monster earthquake like 10 years ago.
Damn.
Um, and yeah, I just kind of I'm a pretty normal person, I think. Just does some outdoor stuff, does some indoor stuff, enjoys some video games. Yeah,
But you're a
mostly
Kiwi,
a
right? You know, like
mostly a regular kind of
that's
yeah
that's
Kiwi.
not no. That's something I would say. I feel like for at least us over here in the United States of America, anybody that has an accent such as yours is already like three, tiers above. Like it doesn't even matter what you say.
The exotic factor, yeah. No, we get that here too. Someone shows up with an Irish accent, they're like, "How's it going, mate?" And everyone's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh." Yes. Yeah, no, yeah,
So
it's like
yeah, well, you start talking about you've lived in
well,
New Zealand your whole life for the most part, right?
apparently
Oh,
we have one of the sexiest accents, according to some thing that they did, which
yeah,
honestly I'm not sure I entirely agree with, but
I
we'll take it, right? Like,
I agree. So it's weird. Do we take your opinion, like, does it have more value because you said it in that accent, or do we just disregard it because you have that accent
oh,
and
I
it's
don't know.
you
You
being
should
more?
definitely find a source that's more credible than the person
Mm.
with the accent. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Toby. Before we do officially begin, I wanted to
Yes.
let people know that there is a giveaway for some Immortal Alpha keys. So if you guys would like to enter, I believe you just type in exclamation raffle in the chat, and that'll be going on the whole stream, and we'll give them away at the end. So back to our regular scheduled pro gaming. So I want to ask you a little bit about your growing up, your upbringing,
Sure.
maybe your family. How was school like?
School's good actually. School in New Zealand's. I mean, I don't know what school's like elsewhere, but school in New Zealand's good. You get a lot of outdoor time and a lot of things like that. Pretty active, kind of. Um, pretty hands-on. Kind of, you leave kids to kind of do their thing a lot of the time. Um, yeah. I honestly,
How's the weather?
I was a little, I was a little shit at school as well.
Hey, I think we all were to an extent,
I, I learned, yeah, like I learned the stuff pretty quickly. I got it quite intuitively, and then I just wanted to talk to the person next to me, of course, because what else do you do when you're bored?
Social butterfly.
Uh, yeah, and obviously teachers don't love that when you're sitting there whispering next to the person next to you the whole damn time, and they're like, "Come on, get on with it," and you've already done it, and so you're like, "I don't give a shit." Like, so, so
Yep,
yeah, it was always a bit of a challenge there. It was a bit of a juggling act
it
of
is what it is. That's
yeah, I
good though. I mean,
got
that's half the school there. I think the social aspect, right? Teachers got to
yeah,
understand that.
yeah. Well, needless to say, I got a lot more social aspect than some others. I chatted a lot. I got in a lot of trouble for it.
Did you ever get
Yeah,
How
yeah.
how
attention?
big were
Attention?
your
Yeah.
how
Like
big
a
were
good.
your classes?
Oh, good question. I know at high school there were about 30 kids. I'm trying to think back to primary. It's hard to remember, honestly, but yeah, somewhere between 20 and 30. So, probably high 20s, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, decent size, but not crazy. Like,
Yeah.
it's not one teacher trying to manage 40 or 50 people or anything.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Word.
It was good though. Yeah. I enjoyed school, honestly.
What were your favorite subjects, though?
Um, I think I just ended up being a bit of a maths and a science guy. I didn't really love English. It was a little too airy fairy for me.
You got enough
But
English
like right
done with the
about like
socializing,
the
right?
feels, I was like, oh,
Sorry, what was that
yeah,
term? Airy fairy?
yeah, a little airy
Let that
fairy.
just go.
It's just not concrete, Like it's wishy washy. Like
Dude, that's
I
like
don't
kind of
know.
like my expertise. I'm in the airy fairy department at
Airy fairy.
SunSpear.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
literally your department. Yeah, exactly.
love it.
Um, and it's great. Like people need to do that, of course. It just my brain didn't. My brain always latched onto the concrete. Like I wanted the like, yeah, but how does it work? Like what's the actual thing? Like,
I mean, that kind of makes
yeah.
sense, though,
So
right? Like
yeah,
for what you do and like what your specialty is, right? And like,
yeah. I actually went to university to study engineering, and then hated it.
no
It
way,
was so bad.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And so
what
I
was so
actually
bad about it?
switched over to computer science, because the requirements for computer science, the first year requirements were like one course, and that course you had to do engineering anyway. So I just ended up being like, well, I've already got the requirements for that, so I'll just jump ship, and ended up doing computer science out of nowhere, and ended up loving it. And man, no regrets. Like that was the
Yeah,
best decision.
yeah, that's
Uh,
cool. I'm glad you did too. Honestly, I think a lot of us here,
yeah,
not
yeah,
only
yeah,
at SunSpear, but even just the community and the people that are going to be playing, definitely going to
yeah.
appreciate.
Thanks.
Word.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's what's up. But about like your family, I know you're one half of the Kiwi Bros, and we were
Yeah,
wondering, is
yeah.
he
Well,
actually your bro? Hmm?
yeah,
Hmm?
he doesn't look like it at all, though. I know it's crazy. Yeah, I'm actually 1/3 of the Kiwi Bros.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
third one. Yeah, yeah. But it's funny because we're like we're kind of like a spectrum. Where like if you take like looks or like dark skin and complexion, and like fair skin or whatever kind of complexion, like I'm at one end and Harry's at the other end, and so he
Like
doesn't
the
really look like a
trifecta.
brother kind of thing. Uh and then same thing goes for outdoors and indoors. Like our other brother Dan is like the most outdoor person you've ever seen in your life. Like he does whitewater rafting, and he's like a mechanic and like all
That's
sorts of stuff like this,
right. Yeah.
skiing,
Wow.
all sorts of stuff like this. And
Okay.
at the other end, like Harry's like the hardcore indoor gamer. Like it's, it's like trading cards and tabletops and like video games, like all these kind of things. I'm like somewhere in the middle. I kind of do both.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's funny we span the spectrum, and like people
that's
would
so
not
interesting.
place us. Yeah,
Like, yeah, as far as
until
like
you put us all in a room and hear us all talking, like, oh, there it is.
no. So what is the so who's the oldest? Sorry, I was gonna say like as far as age
I'm the
difference.
oldest. Yeah,
So you're the oldest, and then
yeah. It's 2 years, then 6 years to the next one.
gotcha.
Yeah,
All right, no doubt. So do
yeah,
you guys ever like fuse to become the ultimate Kiwi or
yeah.
no?
I wish we could do that. Yeah, there's some sort of like I don't know brotherly kind of like disruption that happens whenever you try to get too close like that, and it ends up in some sort of conflict instead.
Oh. Oh, that's great though, man. And well, you said there's you do a little bit of both as far as indoor stuff and outdoor stuff. Do you have any other like hobbies and passions like outside of
Yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say like something that like is your jam. Like what is your jam?
I don't know if I have like a jam necessarily. Like probably Ultimate Frisbee is the like main other one.
Okay.
Um, I have a few other things. Like I'm kind of a dabbler in lots of stuff actually.
You're
Now
just
that
you're
now
just
that I
a
think about it, yeah.
habitual
Well,
dabbler, aren't you?
yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's just like the outdoor kind of like scene here, but you end up with like lots of people inviting you to do random stuff, and so yeah, like, I've ended up doing mountain biking and things here and there. I've ended up doing rock climbing, like all these kind of other things, like
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, probably the main one though would be Ultimate Frisbee. Yeah, it's
Word.
it's great sport, man. It's good fun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I did a bit in
shout
college
out to
too.
the
Yep.
US for inventing that one.
Yep, we'll take that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's cool though too. Like, geez, I always wonder, like, I know, like, New Zealand, I've never been myself. I've never really been down that way ever.
Mm,
But man, it just
it's far.
we only see pictures and stuff, and it's like it looks like a very beautiful place in general. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, naturally, you will see the glamorous photos of like the nice places, but yeah, it is overall very pretty for sure. Like you
mhm.
you don't have to go very far to get some pretty nice scenery, and it's a
Yeah,
nice place to live for sure. The other thing that I most love about it is there's no dangerous stuff. Like it's not like
oh,
flipping Australia where half the stuff kills you. Like yeah,
yeah,
there's like nothing. Like the worst you can do is fall over and like impale yourself on a tree. And like honestly, at that
that'd be pretty.
point, well, that's your fault.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say at that. I mean, yeah, if you're gonna impale yourself on a tree, maybe like a frisbee goes too high and you jump to catch it, and just that could be like one thing I could see. But
true, yeah. Don't play frisbee in trees, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, like
that's like
that's
that's your
probably
fault.
the takeaway from all of this. Yeah.
Ah,
No, it's pretty good. It's safe. It's nice. Yeah, you can just crawl into a bush. Yeah, easy.
just chill, just chill.
Just crawl in the bush as you
Just
do.
crawling? Yeah, why not?
Why not?
I'd,
Yeah, yeah.
I'd love to visit.
What's
Yeah,
stopping you?
yeah. You could be my tour guide. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I love doing trips around New Zealand. I've done it before as well. Like people that have come to visit, I'm like, sweet, we're going on a little road trip to show you the places, of course. And I'm like, this is so
Yeah.
cool.
Now you get to like you like live vicariously through them. Like I wish I could explore that for the first time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
question from Christchurch: how far away is the nearest Lord of the Rings like location that you can go and visit,
Mm,
like filming location?
probably an
Ah.
hour. I'd say an hour. Yeah.
An hour? Man, that
Yeah, yeah.
is.
There's like a valley. Oh crap, I've forgotten the name now. There's a valley about an hour away that you can drive to, and it's in these like kind of low foothills that are like rocky foothills, and it's one of the ones that the riders ride down. And one of the like you see, it's one of like the zoomed out shots. Yeah,
I
but
just
yeah,
think it's
there's
crazy.
a
Like
bunch of
I used to
pretty
have
good.
like really, really like those dreams where you wake up, you're like, man, that was a really good dream,
Yeah.
and you just kind
Yeah,
of feel a
yeah.
little
There's
sad because it's like
It's
that'll probably never happen. I used to have dreams about visiting some of the locations, and it's just crazy to me that you can just drive there an hour away. It's
yeah.
yeah,
wild.
yeah,
How
yeah,
sick is that? Like
Yeah, it's cool.
yeah, it makes you realize like, oh my god, like these settings are actually real places, right? Like sometimes
yeah,
you
yeah,
forget
yeah.
that. Like they scout and say like what is gonna really capture the essence of this time or the fantasy, right?
Yeah. No, there's some
Yeah.
cool stuff. And like we have Hobbiton here. Like that's actually a
Oh, like
thing you can just
actual
go visit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
really?
that's a place up north. You can just
Get out of here.
go visit. Yeah, yeah.
How far
Wow.
And
away is that?
in fact, you know what? You should talk to Harry about it because there's actually an event that happens there where you can go to a party at Hobbiton, and Harry goes and does it, and it's
Oh, it's
I,
actually
I
called
won't
Harbiton?
I won't go too much into it because that'll be actually really cool for him to explain and kind of talk about. But it's cool.
Let me write that
Yeah,
down.
it's like a Oktoberfest for Hobbiton kind of thing.
That's so
I feel
sick.
like I really need to go
I know.
there
Yo,
as a
John,
SunSpear event. Like I
let's
just feel
yeah,
like I'm really needed there to
let's push this, man.
check up on things in New Zealand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's establishing the New Zealand branch, of course, with like
Yeah,
the
I
entire
feel like I should be
company.
there and
Yeah.
oversee things. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, speaking of SunSpear in general, how like what got you here, right? Like how did you even
Oh yeah.
become this, all-encompassing tech god?
Uh yeah, this is a pure luck that I ended up at SunSphere.
Okay.
I basically I was unemployed for a year just by choice.
Okay. Sabbatical,
I
sabbatical. Okay.
Yeah,
We
I
call
just
this
decided like I didn't want to go back and work for someone at that time, and I was enjoying just working on personal projects and things, and so I was kind of pottering around, and I got into StarCraft, and I've been into StarCraft before, but this time around I was quite into the core, and so I got chatting with Tom and like his community over the core,
okay.
um, and well, this is Jack Attack for those that don't associate
Yeah,
Tom
yeah,
with Jack
Tom
Attack.
Labonte. Yep.
Yeah,
Who is
yeah,
on
yeah.
a wonderful vacation right now, but hopefully he's not thinking too hard about the potential burning down of
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
I'm
everything
sure
is
it'll all
good.
be perfectly fine when he gets back.
Hey, it is good. There's a lot of exciting stuff for him to come back to. So, but I'll
True,
let you.
true.
But I digress.
Um, but yeah, yeah. Basically, I got interested in it because I'm an optimizer at heart. Like everything in my soul wants to optimize shit, and so naturally when I see the core, I'm like, yeah, but what if like,
Wow.
and so
Optimization of like ultimate optimization, right?
yeah, yeah, and I like I was using the core as well, like testing it out, and there were certain things that I kind of was like, oh, I kind of want to like try this and that, and so to be informed with like changing it, I decided to try and get some data from some of the replays because you can actually go through the replays and parse out like the key presses and things that happen because they like
Yeah.
track it all. So I like helped adjust one of the replay parsers that someone had already kind of written to kind of get more data out and kind of in a more useful way. And so, yeah, I kind of played around with that and that was pretty cool. It was a fun little project. And then
Wow.
just purely because of that, Tom was putting like a little thing out that was like, hey, this is like a new project I'm working on, you know,
Yeah.
Immortal. And we were like, whoa, what's
Whoa, what's
that?
that?
Whoa, what's
Yeah.
that?
Shiny,
Yeah,
shiny,
yeah. And
right?
he's like, you can join this Discord. And I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. And I joined the Discord and I'm scrolling around and I see the tech recruiting channel and I'm like, oh, so,
Well
ooh,
then,
what's
I
this?
happen to be a little tech god, wizard, whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it.
yeah. But I hadn't done game development before, and I didn't know C++.
Okay.
I knew other languages, like I'd done like you know C# heaps, and I'd done other like iOS stuff and blah blah blah, like JavaScript, all these sort of things.
Hmm.
But um, I looked at it and was kind of like, oh, I don't know, I probably shouldn't like put my hand up if
Yo,
I
I
just
think we
don't
do
even
this.
have the
We
qualifications.
do this all the times to ourselves, man. Right?
Yeah,
Almost
yeah.
undersell or think that we can't. Like, oh man, I can't do
Well,
that. Right? This.
Well, they had set the qualifications that I just basically didn't have, and so I didn't want to just roll up and be like, but I'm awesome at programming or something like, you know.
That's what you should have done.
Well, in the end, I just made a joke. I just made a joke in the channel about like, oh man, when you're really keen, but you know the wrong type of C, like it was just the wrong type of programming language kind of thing.
Yeah.
And man, shout out to John, not this John
Oh,
Merrill,
can you shout out John out though, so he doesn't feel left out though? Can you just give him a
shout
shout
out
out?
to this John as well for the awesome art on stream. Um, no, like shout out to John Merrill, who is just the most lovely, chill, wholesome human.
Love that guy,
Who
man.
basically came back and was just like, well, like good programmers pick up languages easy enough. So like, tell us a bit about yourself. And
Right.
I was
Okay.
like, oh, absolutely, like sure thing, like, um, and I sent in my CV, which was like right up to date because I was actually in the process of finally getting a job after a year of not having a job.
Uh huh.
Um, and I decided like only like I don't even know like a week or a week and a half before that to go out looking, and then I had an offer on my desk. Like I literally had one sitting there ready to sign when I made this joke, and yeah, John was like, "Yeah, well, tell us a bit about yourself." So like, I explained like, "Hey, this is my experience, and like that, this is what I've done." And I was like, "Yeah," and like if it helps, like I worked with Jack Attack, I worked with Tom doing this like replay parser on StarCraft 2 and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, okay, interesting." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah." And he's like, "All right, cool. Well, maybe we can get you like an interview kind of thing with Ian and see like how it fits for Vibe stuff." And I was like, "Whoa, really? Like, oh my
Like you
god!"
weren't
I
expecting any
was
of
like,
that,
no,
right?
absolutely not. I made a joke like 30 minutes ago, and then suddenly I'm like,
I'm getting an offer. Isn't
yeah,
that
well,
a thing about
I'm
like
at least
luck? They say, right? Like,
penciled in for it. Yeah, oh my god, it's so much luck. Yeah,
but it's like
um,
just being prepared at the time, right? And like you were mentally
yeah,
ready, like
generated luck, right? That's the
mhm.
idea. Yeah. Um, and I had a coding sample. That was the other thing because I had just done this interview like challenge basically, and so when they were like, "Hey, have you got a coding sample?" I was like, "Funnily enough, here's one pre-packaged, ready to go."
Uh-huh.
Um, and so yeah, and I kind of told him like I was straight up front. I was like, "Hey, I have this offer on my desk like literally right now. So is there any chance we can like go through the process quite quickly just so I'm not like dicking them around?"
Yeah.
And he's been like a manager for a long time, so he was really like accommodating for that, which I'm like eternally grateful for. Um,
What's
and
up?
so the next day I had an interview with Ian, um,
Wow.
and I got on, had a chat, and we got along well. Like I have a lot of those same like SunSpear values by default that kind of like Tom already operated with, and so I kind of knew that it was a kind of culture that I wanted to be a part of. Um, And
Yeah.
Ian was like, "Oh yeah, cool. Like you passed the vibe check."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it
and
was the
he's
most important check though, right? Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
vibe
yeah.
check. And
Yeah, I mean, of course, that was the first one that happened. It had to happen. You got to pass the vibe check.
yeah.
So,
Um.
just a quick little bit of disclosure behind the scenes there. I lived with Ian
Oh.
when this interview occurred, and I remember I was working with Dylan, and Ian came into the living room, and he was like, "Guys, I just got to interview such the New Zealand lad. He's so great." And I think you told him about your brother at this point, right? Because I remember he was saying they're New Zealand brothers, and they're both great. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember if that was but man, it was awesome. I remember I was like, "Oh wow, I can't wait to meet these guys."
yeah. Oh,
Oh,
I think Harry had an even more impressionable interview than I did because Harry's like an absolute character. But yeah, it was still it was great. Like we hit it off, and we chatted, and it was chill. Yeah.
yeah. You
Um.
didn't get any like weird vibe, like by the way,
Yeah.
we have these rituals every Saturday
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah. 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 Nothing weird. Nothing weird. And
You
then
gotta have a blood, yeah.
yeah, so then I got a tech interview like the next Tuesday. This was like a Friday, right? So Friday I made a joke. Saturday I got an interview. The next Tuesday I was booked in for a tech interview. Um, did that. I oh my god, I studied my ass off on the Saturday to like the Monday. I was like, I got a game development interview. I know so
Yes.
little about game stuff though. I was like, oh,
Uh-huh.
shit. And like I know programming concepts, so I had to like learn game stuff, right? So I was like
Yes.
checking out vector stuff. I was like, how does this math work? Like how do reflections of like physics
Oh,
and
that's
things?
awesome. The
I was
excitement.
cramming. I was absolutely like I was stuffing my throat with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, come around Tuesday, I was like, okay, I feel pretty prepared. Like I think I can bluff my way through like knowing some stuff.
Hey, fake it till you make it, right? Like you got it. But
Yeah. And so yeah, they asked me like different stuff and like programming things, and um, I must have answered well because they seemed pretty
clearly you're here.
satisfied with the answers. They seemed pretty satisfied with the answers,
Yeah.
and I later found out like just how well they'd like. Oh yeah, he knows this shit. Because I then ended up doing an interview with Travis and Noel, um, for like another kind of like fit in the team kind of a check, and also just kind of more of a RTS background check as well from
Okay.
Travis's side,
Yep.
and also just like how do you communicate kind of thing, um, and that went well. Like it was good. We kind of chatted about RTS and kind of chatted about how you'd work in a team and stuff. And a lot of the questions were really funny to me because they were kind of like setups for like how would you handle this situation, and
Oh my
the
God.
correct answer is always just talk to the person.
Yeah, right?
and so it was funny because I could see
It's
these
kind of like
like
that's just what
questions
you
being
did
set
though.
up or whatever, and I
That's
was
probably
just
just
like,
what you would
well,
do anyway though too, right? Like that's just
yeah, right, like just naturally, you just
I
gotta
always
talk to them,
notice
sort it
that
out.
in those tests, right? And they're looking like, do you like, berate him? Berate the person that is asking,
Yeah,
call him stupid.
yeah. That's right, yeah.
It's like, yeah,
It's
that's
like,
what
do you
I would
go
do. That,
behind their back and go
it,
to a higher authority or something? It's
yeah,
like,
dude. The
no,
craziest part is some people answer that like that.
oh yeah, no, I know, yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, uh, that went well. So
Oh yeah.
then I was sitting there being like, oh, I think that went well. Holy crap, am I actually going to get a job? I was like,
Yeah.
oh, no, oh my god. And
Okay.
they were trying to get through it quickly as well because I'd said like I had this offer on the table kind of thing,
Yep.
and I ended up getting the job offer pretty much the next day. So like a week turnaround, Friday to
Wow.
Friday, the whole
Boom.
hiring process, which is kind of insane. Like that's not very common at all.
I know, right?
Um, and later I found out that um, Noel didn't. Noel basically said no. And
Oh
this is
wow.
like for context, Noel is like my total bro.
Oh yeah,
It's like
yeah.
at this point we're like
Super
programming like
tight, but it's
brothers
yeah.
in arms, like it's, but
Wow.
at the time he was like, oh no, I don't even want to risk another person with like no game dev experience, because like Travis didn't have a
Understandable.
lot of game dev experience,
Yeah.
like programming wise, um, and so he was worried about like we needed a game programmer,
Hmm.
um, and so he said no basically, but both the murals basically vouch for me, saying like, oh no, his programming fundamentals are good.
Really good. Yeah, and if
um,
you're willing to learn, it's like that's even almost more valuable, I would say.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's right. Like if you have a good ability to pick up and you know learn information, that's huge.
Damn. So yeah, you said so like when your other job before, you hadn't done any other like
No, I
game
was a web
specific stuff,
developer.
huh?
I was a web developer, and I did apps, like just simple application stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Interesting.
just like I worked for another company that did jobs for other companies. It was just making, what do we do? We did like a solar installation, like monitor app. We did like, oh, we actually did one cool one, which was like a conservation one for New Zealand, where they recorded like invasive species, like where they were around the
Yeah.
country. So like they could do like sightings and like kind of record the spread
Record
of
it.
them.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like a rewarding kind of a project to work on for an app. Um, yeah, no, it was fine. It was just nowhere near as cool. This is
Yeah. I
dream
know,
job
right?
material, like
I say the same
yeah,
thing too. I mean, yeah, the values, the people, honestly, are yeah, and the game itself is just really fun to work on.
yeah,
And see people get excited for it and like, yo, this is the new kind of cool stuff that we have. Hope you
yeah,
like it,
yeah.
right? Like, and
Yeah,
then
oh
people do.
man, it really is. Like that's how I describe it basically when I talk to people nowadays as well. I'm like, oh yeah, I have this thing. It's kind of like my dream job. Like
I
it's
know.
like, what
That's
else
how
would
my
I even
girlfriend
want to do?
describes it too,
Like,
and I'm like, "That's you." How did she know? How did she know? You can just tell when
yeah.
you know, right? It's just um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
no.
it just all like it. I think because you want to do it. You don't get up
Hmm.
in the morning and go, "Oh,
Oh yes,
here
that
we
is.
go again." Like, I have to drag my ass out of bed. Like, I get up and I'm like, "Right, I got to
Let's
make
go.
this thing go." Like, oh, I can't wait. Like, it's like
Yes.
it's just yeah,
Oh, that's so sick. Well, speaking of, I
yeah,
mean, this wonderful place. What is a typical work day like for you? Like when you wake up, it's like, all right,
yeah.
what do we do? What's going on?
Well, first I gotta commute to work, so I roll roughly 2 meters from the bed down there up to my chair.
Yep.
So
Okay.
that's always tough. Like, um, yeah, no, it basically the workday kind of looks like um, catching up on Discord. That's always the first step.
Yeah.
So much of what happens is through Discord, and um, I like to keep track of what's happening bug wise and like crash wise as well, personally, because it kind of just gives me a bit of kind of
Good
like
place to begin.
rough idea of where things are at. Like how
Yeah.
stable things are and like what needs looking at. Because it's always a juggling act with priorities, right? Like
Hmm.
whether I put a feature in or whether I try and fix something that people are running into. So basically, catch up on all of the Discord stuff, like emails, that kind of thing. Um, and then yeah, like kind of pick a task essentially. Often I'll have something left over from the day before
Yep.
that I need to like finish off. But yeah, essentially it'll be pick one of the tasks, feature that we're trying to add, kind of thing, and then start plugging away at it. Um, Often there'll be a little catch up with Travis at some point throughout the day, just kind of
Hmm.
get
I do
synced.
see you guys in
You know,
Discord a lot, like quite a bit, right? Like
yeah,
you'll kind of just talk to each other and say like, "Hey, where you're at?
yeah,
Here I
yeah.
am."
It's also at the point now where like it's kind of like just a co-working thing as well. Where it's handy to be able to quickly ask someone something, because a lot of the time when I'm doing implementation, um, little like gaps of like how do you want to implement this come up as well, because it's really hard to specify like everything of how a game works, right?
Yeah,
Just writing like line by line descriptions is like, oh
it's
my
not
god,
gonna.
that's like yeah. So it's really nice to be able to just go, hey Travis, how do we want this to work? And then yeah, let's go with this kind of thing.
Oh man.
And same vice versa, when Travis is working on something, it's like, Toby, how do I make this programming thing work?
Yeah, right. And it's like a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
so that's like just like a lot of know-how and then also like maybe the best way and of course if you're both into efficiency, right? And just getting it done that in a way that makes sense. You guys are kind of like
yeah.
on the same page as far as that goes.
I think it's like a nice balance as well between the like remote working versus like an open office kind of thing.
Okay.
Because personally, I think remote works is really good. I think you have the opportunity to like mute and like shut things out and just like dive into stuff when you need to.
Yeah.
And also you can jump into a voice channel and be like, I'm available in a very
Exactly,
clear
yeah.
way to like, right now I'm happy to like pot around what I'm doing in the background and like, chat with people about stuff that they need.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
has
I like
been
that.
remote working and stuff? Like, as far as, I mean, like recently with pandemic and stuff, we've all been working online and
Yeah.
everything, but like, I feel like you just can't really get much further than New Zealand. You know,
Imagine
I'm the
like,
most
having to
remote worker.
commute.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
how
right.
has that been feeling? Like, does it feel like really isolating, or does it not bother you very much?
No, it hasn't really bothered me much. But I think that's because the people that I work with are so accommodating and awesome. I think that's really it. Like, I think I'm just like super lucky to have. Well, firstly, Noel would stay up like kind of late on his time zone, um, in order to be able to like work with me more. And Travis has a kind of unique schedule, and so I get to spend a lot of time with Travis as well.
Yeah.
And that's really awesome. I like to get this like nice amount of overlap with people in the US. Um, Thankfully, the time zones are really hilarious. So, despite being like an entire day ahead, it's
Yeah, that
only 3 to 5 hours apart time wise, which actually means that we get like somewhat similar days.
So I mean, it's basically like almost like the East to Pacific, right? For me, but you're just a whole day ahead, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, similar time difference, just like a whole day in the future. Yeah. No,
Wow.
yeah. And thank God, because like trying to work with East Coast people would be like that much harder, like trying to
Yep.
sync up a normal work day. It'd be like them finishing as I like get on, and we'd be like, oh, all right.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've actually experienced that a little bit,
Yeah, yeah, no,
and
for
we're trying to
sure,
get
for
better
sure.
at it too. But I noticed that where it's like, oh, as far as the interaction, it can get a little bit difficult, but still make it
Yeah,
work though.
yeah. I enjoy remote work, to be honest. I think it's like my jam personally.
That's your
Um,
jam. That's the one. Remember, I asked you what your jam was.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there's something about I don't know. I'm sure other people find this, especially people that well, maybe they haven't had an opportunity to experience it. But basically, the thing that I found, because I worked in an office for a long time, like an open office as well,
Hmm.
and the thing that I found with remote work is that sometimes you're just not there. You're just not focused. You're not feeling it. You just can't work right now.
Yeah.
And in an office, you have to force yourself to try.
Yeah.
You have to sit
True.
there and be like, tap, tap, tap. I'm working. Like, like,
Look at me
whereas
work.
it's just pointless because you're just
Yeah.
getting nothing done. You're at like 5% productivity or something,
Yeah, I
like
know
it's
that.
so not worth. And so whenever I'm feeling that, I'm just like, oh, nope. I just get up, go do something
Do something
else.
else
Like,
and just refresh.
I'm
Like
like,
kind
it's
of, yeah,
time to put
reset.
the washing on. It's time to have lunch. Like, it's time to, I don't know, just take a break, like whatever it is. Because there's no one like breathing like down my neck, like checking. And
Yeah.
then I come back and I feel
You
way
just
better. I'm so much more
so much.
focused when I come
Yeah.
back. Just there's something about like that wave of ins and outs where sometimes you're just like I just
Hmm. Takes discipline. Toby, though, it does take a little bit of discipline because I know, like, some people, when it comes down to remote work, it's like, since I don't have that, push to do it,
yeah,
it's like, you know what, I'm gonna go for a walk. As a matter of fact, I'm
yeah.
gonna go,
Well,
skateboarding or something, right? Or I'm gonna
I
go
think
play some
definitely
games.
you have to love the job.
True.
Because if you hate the job, you don't want to do the job
You're never
regardless of where
gonna
you
do
are.
it. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
True.
Even if you're at
True.
work, you don't want to do the damn job. Like it's
No,
you'll be
that's
on your
no, that's
phone
actually
like
a good
subtly
point.
texting
That's
anyway.
a
Like,
really good point. Yeah.
but yeah, like if you enjoy the work and you're remote, you'll just naturally do it when you feel like doing it anyway. Like
Yeah.
I want the game to get better regardless. Like
No, I know it. Yeah. Oh,
I
that's yeah.
could be sitting there with nothing to do, and I might still be like, oh, wait a minute.
There's a thing that pops
I
in your
should put
head,
in that
like,
new thing, like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Dominic's like,
Oh,
maybe I
yeah.
don't like my job. I don't hate it though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
like,
Daisy said,
not everyone gets
we're,
to love it, but like, as long as you don't like
as long as you
mind
don't
it.
like this, as long as it doesn't make you just absolutely miserable waking up, like,
Yeah, yeah.
going to
Wait, hold
work
up.
is a
I'm gonna take my
task.
jersey off 1 sec.
Oh, sure, sure, sure. Be right back. So it's getting hot. You see this interview? Every tempo interview,
Yeah, yeah.
man. Tempo interviews get hot, man.
Hard
It
hitting
was.
questions, man.
Yeah,
So I'm making him sweat. We have
I
no
had
sweat
the window
playtest.
open like all night, and it was really cool. And then yeah, now that I've like closed up the room and yeah, it's like heating's kicked in, I'm like, oh no.
Uh-huh. We got the viewers. The
Yeah.
viewers are like, oh my God,
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, take it off.
yeah. You know it. So, but yeah, honestly, as far as work too, like right, and loving it, right. Of course, there comes some struggles that you guys run into. Perhaps there's some little things that one you can't figure out, or two maybe you want to
Oh
figure
man.
things out in different ways, and you kind of clash.
Oh yeah.
Other, what are some kind of challenges that you have faced when you are trying to get something right, and you're working
Yeah.
with design as well?
Definitely just obscure bugs. There's one that I literally hit yesterday, and like I was sprinting. I was like feeling so good. I was like, yeah, like
Yep.
productivity. Here we go. I'm gonna put this new shit in. And then boom,
Boop.
like clotheslined, like absolutely like flattened on my back where I hit this bug. And this is one I've hit before. That is just some obscure thing with. I don't know if it's how we set up stuff or if it's just an epic like unreal bug, but
That's just, yeah.
man, it's so annoying. It's just this weird behavior that makes no sense that I don't know how to fix that we've like hit before, and I like before we just had to work around it because
Work
it
around, yeah, it's just
took too
there.
long to
It's like,
fix, and I hit it again yesterday. I was like, no, I don't want to
no,
work
and it's
around.
like, "Haha, we meet again." Like,
Yes,
the bug comes out of nowhere, like,
not again.
"We meet
It's like
again." Ha.
yeah. It's
It's
yeah,
like,
not my favorite. There's definitely some real doozies like. Yeah, and those are the ones actually where it gets tricky to motivate yourself when you are sitting there and you're like, okay, I got to work, and you're like, oh, but the first thing I got to do is sort out
it's
this
there.
stupid bug.
And it's
Like,
there, and it's gonna be there when you return, right? It's not like it
it's
just
still gonna
goes
be
to
there when you get
sleep.
back.
Yeah, that can be
Yeah,
tough. But
yeah,
that's part of it, right? Though,
yeah. The only
workarounds,
other
but then also, one day you'll probably figure it out too.
Yeah, there's always some resolution, right? That's like the thing with programming is that you're never like fully stuck. Like it's kind of like I don't know, how do you put it? It's kind of like if you're trying
Songwriting,
to walk somewhere up like a hill or something and it gets like too steep and you're like, okay, maybe not. You walk back down and you go a little bit further and you try to get up and you're like, oh no, okay.
but you
At
do it the
some point you
sideways.
can just walk all the way back down, walk all the way around and go up the other
And
side,
you
like
start
at
like
some
Elder
point.
Scrolls Skyrimming, like jumping,
Yeah,
right? Instead.
yeah. You're trying to hop up the damn thing. That's actually what it's like trying to bug fix. You're like, oh, can I actually sneak up here? Oh my god, I
Yeah.
made it
Oh
up.
my god, I can.
It's like, yeah, true.
Oh,
Yeah. The only other thing that's like kind of sucky sometimes is time zones.
true.
Because
Yeah.
like usually it's fine. Usually it's fine. Every now and then though, you really need something from someone and they're just asleep. And
Oh
you're
yeah,
like,
simple and
damn
plain.
it.
Yep. They're just like, oh, I just gotta wait. And there's
Yeah, you just
I can't go over to their desk and poke them and be like, wake up. You're sleeping.
That's
It's
right. Yeah, they're not there. You can't walk over and just be like, "Oh yeah, I need this." Yeah.
yeah, true.
And like that's good and bad, Like if you can't bother people when they don't want to be bothered, like. But
Hmm.
yeah, sometimes it's just like unfortunate where you have to wait until at least like
And
3
it's
p.m. until
blocking.
someone shows up. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Unless they get up to pee or something and they just see their phone and it's like, oh, so you always got to send that
Yeah,
message
yeah.
though, because people do
There
check their
are a
phones
couple
when
at
they
the
get up.
company that message me at just the most obscure times where I'm like, why the heck are you awake? And they're like, oh, I couldn't sleep. And they're off again, offline. And you're like, okay. Yeah.
Well, you're talking about like
Yeah.
the annoying, challenging bugs. How about like a funny bug? Have you run into like some funny interactions
Oh my
in
God,
the
yeah.
course?
I'm actually so annoyed at myself for not recording these better because there's been some funny ass bugs.
Uh
I
huh.
hold up. I think I wrote a few down somewhere. Let me go
Oh,
have a look.
word. Nice.
Oh yeah, okay. There's been some goodies. I have one day I was a little bit inspired to write down a couple of the bugs that I thought were hilarious, and so I do have a couple here.
Nice.
Um, one of them is the double movement bug, where one day I actually accidentally spawned two of the movement system when there's only supposed to be one
One.
movement system, obviously.
Oh.
And
Okay.
yeah, but it didn't happen 100% of the time. But I would go into game and I would like start clicking around, and the Sapari would just go across the screen. I was like, what the hell? I was like, what? I'd like restart and it'd be like normal. I was like, what? Hold up. And
Yeah.
then the Sapari rips across the screen. I was like, what's going on? Like, and they were just moving at double time because one of the movement systems would be like, all right, update. And then the next one would be like, all right, update. And he's like, Yum. So
Wow.
yeah, that was a funny one. Everything just going turbo speed.
Turbo
And
speed. Yeah,
it looks
that's a
extra
feature.
silly
That's a
and
feature though. That's a
funny.
feature, right? Like you should make that a new game mode eventually.
everything
You
goes
know?
double speed. Just like, yeah, actually, that would be hilarious. that would seriously ruin some units.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You just have Zentari flying around being like, oh no.
Charge
Oh
upgrade.
man, Zentari going at that speed. Oh my god, that'd be
Imagine.
ridiculous. Just like
Yeah, it would be
angry
ridiculous.
dogs chasing after you. Bark, 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 bark.
Yep.
Yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
ridiculous.
You're like, I have my mouse hunter. I'll try kite. Never mind. Never mind.
Yep. Not
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
Yep. Kite this.
yeah, yeah. Pretty much. Um. Oh, there's one that I don't know. I don't even know if people have like come across this. I don't even know if it's still in the game
Hmm.
because we never actually like fixed it or figured out exactly what was going on. But there was this bug for a while that I've just called the duck diving moat, because what would happen is a moat would come right up to the alloy line, and then while doing their like harvest animation,
Yeah.
they would just turn over. Like you know how like a duck is when they're in
Yeah.
the river or whatever, and they like just
Oh
boop,
yeah.
underwater, and all you see is the butt sticking up. That was like basically what happened. Is the moat would just for whatever reason turn 90 degrees, just upside down.
Just moat in the moat, you know?
It was just like, why? Like,
Has
there's
anyone?
literally
Yeah.
nothing we can see that would make that happen. Like,
You
for
gotta
whatever
ask people.
reason, it's just, yeah, that was a funny one.
It
I
just
have no idea.
happens.
It could still be in the game. I'll be honest.
Well, if anybody's seen the moat ducking moat,
Yeah,
the moat
yeah.
diving moat,
Seriously, yeah.
yeah,
That one,
bobbing for mats.
yeah.
Just trying to find you because I mean you have to dig sometimes to get the alloy too, right? Like it's not always on the surface. You see.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta go get that shit. Yeah.
So.
It's yeah. There's a few funny ones like that. There's been some like crash ones as well. Like like two A-Rocks hitting each other.
Okay.
This was like one of those like what happens when an
Elaborate.
unstoppable force hits an
Just yeah,
immovable object or
movable
whatever.
object.
It doesn't happen very often that because mostly you're running A-Rocks into some bigger unit to kill it, and usually like a lot of things shoot down A-Rocks, and so it's not a very common interaction. But one day two A-Rocks hit each other and the server just
At the
crashed,
exact
and we were
same.
like, what? Why? Oh my god.
I love stuff like that though. Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
so
that one
rare,
was
but when it
like,
does happen, it's like okay,
yeah.
that's a highlight reel. Just okay, yeah, we're gonna fix it, but that's actually pretty funny, right? Like,
Yeah, it was. It was funny as hell. It was like out of nowhere. It's just like boop. And you're just like,
like what just happened?
huh? Yeah, and it was such a funny loop as well, because like when you hit a unit, they tell allied units like, hey, come over and like help.
Yeah,
And like that's a really good feature so that you don't just get units getting picked off randomly on their own kind of thing.
hmm
But the problem was the A-Rocks hit, one of them died, and then it was like, hey, get my nearby buddies, and the other one was like, hey, get my nearby buddy, hey, get my nearby buddy. And it was this stupid
they
loop
just kept
of it,
going,
like, yeah, 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 and then it just like crashed. I was like, oh my
and
goodness,
then it
like,
crashed at the end. It's just like, oh,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
that's
they basically killed each other. Yeah, yeah. There's been some funny ones. The disappearing tower foundation.
okay. Elaborate.
This one is a mystery for the ages. This
All
one
right.
is an unsolved. One day, someone comes in with a bug report. A tower foundation just disappeared in our game, and we're like, what do you mean it just disappeared? Like
Doesn't
they don't
happen.
just
Silly.
disappear, right? Like, what do you mean? Sure enough, there's a tower
Whatever, man.
foundation just missing in the screenshot. We're like, oh, that's kind of weird.
I mean, just have
And
no
then
idea.
it turns out there was a VOD of it where you can go and look, and they're not looking at the tower foundation at the time, but you can see on the minimap the dot just disappears, and there's nothing by it. It just,
No
and we're
reasoning.
like, huh?
Ruh-roh.
What? What do you mean? Like, and so sure enough, we like go and like look through, like, oh, what could cause this? Blah blah blah. Nothing. No idea.
Wow.
Has it happened since? I
Maybe.
haven't seen any more
Maybe.
reports of it. Like,
I know.
for whatever reason, like I don't know.
So
Maybe
it's
we fixed
impossible to
it
replicate.
inadvertently.
Yeah. But if it pops
Yeah.
up again, it's like maybe it's just something that will be forever in the game. Like people said that the teapot, was like a placeholder. But at this point,
Yeah.
I'm wondering, right? Like
I know. Honestly, at this point, the team has got some legacy, man.
it's got some legacy
Yeah.
to it.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been some real goodies. I mean, one of my favorite recent ones was the fligging units off the map. So I put in climb prediction recently to help like smooth out animations and stuff for people on like high latency. And
Yeah.
that's been like amazing for me because I was the guy with the high latency.
I
The stick was in
know.
the US, and so my
True.
units are like good, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
damn it. And so that was a good case of the tech guy being motivated to put it in for the own for their own
Yeah.
sake as well. Um,
Hey.
but basically, what it would do is it would go, all right, well, last time you moved from here to here, so this time you're probably going to move about the same distance, right?
Yep.
And that was really good for movement. Right up until people started using Deliver from Evil, which teleports people across the whole map.
Oh, yeah, that
So,
might be an issue.
so what happened is it was like, oh, you moved that far, so you probably want to go that far again, right? And
Again. Oh.
shot the unit way off the map. And then, of course, all the systems like, what the hell? There's a guy, we don't know where that is. Like, we can't handle that.
Yeah.
It crashes.
Crash,
That
yeah.
was one of the funnier crashes for sure. It's just
Oh,
flinging
man.
units off the map.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not a bug, it's a feature, right? Like, imagine that being
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
no.
Shoot.
Clearly, yeah, it's about trying to figure out, like, these fixes and then random interactions,
Yeah.
and something happens that just makes the most ridiculous outcome.
Yeah.
You can't do anything else but laugh about it at that point,
There's nothing you can do about it. It's part of development, you know. You end up
yeah.
with these things, and you just got to fix it and be like, "Whoops, who
Well,
saw
that
that
happened.
coming?" Like that's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah,
You're at, like, a
yeah,
expo, you're, like, you're showing it off and like, "Well, like, even, like,
yeah, yeah.
speedrunning stuff, right? Like, that's what a lot of
Well,
speedrunning stuff is, right? Where it's, like, overlooked,
100%. Yeah. Oh,
uh,
so many
bugs.
like glitches that they're exploiting. Yeah, and like I mean, like shout out to the playtesters. My God,
Hell yeah.
that's just, like the amount of valuable reporting and information stuff we get from the playtesters. Like, there's no way we could cover all the like, bug finding and things just by ourselves. Not a chance. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
super
join the
helpful.
Discord, folks. Definitely join the Discord. Put a
Yeah,
link in
yeah,
there in the chat. And also, speaking of playing the game and playtesting, there is a raffle going on and we are giving away the keys. So type exclamation raffle in the chat if you like it. So all right. So hey man, we just had a pretty exciting release or
yeah,
series of releases, right? Relating
yeah,
to the Immortal reworks
yeah,
and a couple of bug fixes as well. Um as
yeah.
the new kits in general, right?
Yeah, no, it was good actually because I'd been working on a lot of initialization stuff to try and fix this one crash, and then all of a sudden it was like features, and a bunch of fixes, and everyone was like, "Whoa,
It just happened to be
whoa!"
it was a lot.
Yeah, the ebb and
Oh,
flow of development. Eh?
so
Yeah,
sick. And I mean, I guess as someone that not only is about just the tech part of things, but you do work in do you dabble in design. You are the dabbler of design anyway, right?
yeah. Not
So
not like officially, but like
okay. Just kind of get their idea
I
picture.
get like a little pass, a little free pass to kind of have some influence, which is nice.
Hmm.
And obviously it helps a lot with what I actually do anyway because I'm the guy that like puts it in the game. So
Right. It's like I can't do that.
ironing out a lot of the like the what about this case kind of thing ahead of time actually helps a lot as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, that works out. That works out well, thankfully.
I know,
Yeah,
right? No, I think it's
yeah.
important too. I mean, we
I
noticed
love
that,
that
like,
aspect, by the way. Like,
yeah,
man, the RTS I've loved RTS since like a long time ago. I
yeah.
grew up playing it, like it's one of those like styles of games that you're just like, yes.
Right, little tangent. Yeah, I was gonna say your favorite RTS of all time, just straight up. Like one that, at least one
uh,
iconic one in your mind that, like, as far as growing up, like shaped like your love for it. I guess doesn't have to be the best one, but
uh,
like the one that shaped your
it's
love for it.
tricky. Like, probably my favorite of all time does have to be StarCraft 2 because it's just so good. Like, it is kind of the goat, but in terms of like one that had like probably the most like kind of influence when I was younger was Warcraft 3. Like,
Okay.
that campaign is unrivaled. Like, it's
Hmm.
just so good.
Yeah,
And there's so many cool hidden things in all the levels as well. Like, the amount of like side quest shit you can end up doing. there's,
I know.
there's one
It's just
there's one mission with the warden that you can like who has the blink that you can go like all the way around the like outside of this
you're
map.
not even supposed to.
Like,
Yeah, they
yeah,
don't tell you to
yeah.
go
You
there,
get this
but
high ground, and then it gives you vision. This one little edge you can go to, and then it gives you like, oh man, that just like blew my mind when I first discovered that. Because you feel like an absolute genius when you discover that shit. You're like,
something like that.
can
Yeah.
I blink over there? And you try it, and you're like, there's a
I
whole
can't.
world behind this, like in the fog of war. Like
That's all
what the
Tekken,
hell?
yeah. But that's even like Tech in a nutshell, right? It's like, can I, or you ask people to kind of like, hey, go ahead and break this game. I think that was
Yeah,
the
true.
philosophy from design at least, and then for tech, that's like just like a gold mine for you too, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
I always
yeah, definitely.
I know there were a few weird happenings when it comes down to some of the new abilities and parts of the new kit. Instead of
Yeah.
talking about necessarily the kits themselves, I would like to actually more pick your brain about things that have popped up so far that kind of interest you um, in relation to the new kits and like weird interactions that can happen, and
Right.
how difficult you think they will be to fix, or if you've already fixed them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's been a couple. Like, one of them was we put in the new Ajario that saved people. Um,
Mhm.
like they would get a buff that meant they were going to die. They would get teleported back to Ajari and saved.
Yep.
Uh, unfortunately, we didn't have the technology in to actually stop missiles that were already flying at someone. So
Oh,
a lot of the time, the person would get saved by
I can already
teleported
see where
back, and
this is
then like
going.
10 missiles would just change direction and fly across the map, hit them anyway, and so didn't really have the kind of like the vibe we were going for of
Yeah,
like actually saving anyone.
it happens. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that had some limited potential as an ability in the current state. So yeah, basically it was time to put that in. It was going to make that ability work to start with, but also people have wanted it for a long time because then you can do cool stuff like you can use wind step to dodge missiles, right? And
Right.
then
Yeah.
all of a
True.
sudden it's that really awesome like micro of like dodging a volley, and like everyone loves that, like the hyper efficient micro usage. Everyone's like,
And rewarding, yeah,
whoa,
like that rewarding,
are
like
you
where it's like
Bjorn?
I saw, yes, and it creates
Yeah,
those moments, right? In like any kind of
yeah,
game that you're watching, or even when you do
yeah,
it as a player, you know, it's
yeah,
just that
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
dopamine where it's like, oh yeah, I did that. Like
Oh,
this is going on my
100%.
highlight reel. Like watch this, right? Where
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Clip that shit.
clip that shit, yeah.
100%.
Are there any other ones in the the new kits that I know there was one with like the multiple summons of Mala or something that was interesting.
Well, yeah, so that's just something we have to figure out, design and tech wise, is what
Okay,
we want to do about Immortals being in multiple places, right? Because that's like
true.
a big question of like, we
Do
want
we
the
want it?
gameplay effect of Immortals being like present in the battlefield, but we
Hmm.
like, do you really have like four of the same guy hanging around? Like, that's probably not. Like, so,
Uh huh.
so yeah, that needs to be figured out. And like, we started to do that. Like, Ozone, like, um, he still plays some animations when he comes in for some of them, but he won't hang out on like multiples of his abilities anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
and yeah, there's been like a few things like that. As for other stuff, like I don't know. Oh yeah, like Ozone like being cast on a building and then staying there for like an entire minute after the
Uh-huh.
building's
Yeah, yeah,
destroyed and
yeah.
shooting stuff. So,
Is
yeah,
when
that
yeah,
wasn't.
why is your favorite playtester Santa?
Yeah, it was a little. It was a small exploit there. It was where you start a Legion Hall and then like don't even give a shit if it finishes. It can even
Yeah.
just die, and then next minute you've got an Immortal being like bam,
Ba, 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 ba,
bam in the
ba, and you're
middle
like,
of the
"Oh,
base.
no, not like this."
Yeah, yeah. So
Well, I
that
mean,
was
hey, I guess that's the immortal presence that we were looking for, right? That's the
yeah,
most presents
yeah,
you can get.
ever present. Yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah. No, the
Toby,
Immortal presence
I
is
got a
super cool.
question.
Go.
When so I've been working on a lot of the audio stuff,
Mm,
and let me just tell you, there's a lot of audio stuff, and
yeah.
we're gonna be working with the wonderful Audio Hive on
Yes.
that, and then there's
Cool.
gonna be some implementation coming at some point. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
give any dates or anything like that, but um, are you gonna be working on audio bugs as well, or are you just strictly focused on gameplay stuff? Like, are you gonna have to be listening to the game with audio and
Oh, it's actually a very
come
good
in and be
question.
like, "Oh, dang, I gotta go in here and fix this damn audio bug"?
Yeah, so yes and no. uh, I don't really need to focus on audio as much for what I do. However, I am kind of responsible for all things tech, so it does fall under me at this point. So yeah, I definitely will have to. Uh, I'm kind of outing myself a little bit here in that I play with sounds off the vast majority of the time when I'm doing development.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've heard that song thousands of times.
Oh
Hey,
my
as an
gosh,
audio
yeah.
engineer too, I'm forced to, right? So it's like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
playing this song. It's
yeah,
me, and I don't even want to hear myself anymore, and I didn't want to release it. This song sucks. Like,
yeah, yeah. And like the song's good,
no,
actually.
it's a
It's
good
actually
song. That's
really
the thing,
good.
but your brain, the way that it is, because you.
But I've also heard the first like 10 seconds over and over and over and over and over. Because I'll like run it, check something, close it, run it, check something, close it. And so I get like the first 10 seconds over and over and over and
Oh
over
yeah.
and
That's
over. And I'm like,
exactly.
okay,
Oh,
that's
I feel you.
mute.
I feel you. You know what? That hit way too close to home, Toby. I didn't realize we would
Yeah.
connect so much on that.
Well, the mute sound button that's in game at the moment is because I got sick of having to go in and change the sliders. I legitimately, I was sitting there one day and I was like, I'm so sick of changing the sliders. I'm putting in a damn button for it. Like, right, that's it, mute sound. So,
Uh, yeah, but guys,
yeah.
yeah, to understand, like from a developmental perspective or anything, like when you are listening over and like your focus isn't even the song, right? It's just like you're trying to fix something, right? And then
Mm,
something about that, frustration of trying to fix it, or maybe it's excitement, but you link it almost sometimes with that first 10 seconds where it's just like, okay, something needs to go.
mm,
But it's
mm.
like, and then you get to play it through and it's fixed, and then it's like,
Yeah.
so that, oh, the song is longer than 10 seconds, and you're like, oh, sweet, word.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Man,
actually so excited for sound though. Holy, like there's
me
so
too.
many things in the game that don't feel quite right until you have the sound. And like even like Coulter's like little sound like kind of boost that he did lately was so nice. Like having like just some weapon effects and stuff, like just some little like attack sounds, like it made such a nice difference to the atmosphere of the game, you know. It
It
didn't feel
does.
quite so
It really adds,
yeah,
especially with a
empty.
game that is all about atmosphere and
Mm,
world, right? Like
yeah.
that's the whole. I don't know. I think it's such a big, valuable aspect of this game that there are going to be
Yeah.
iconic sounds that we're going to relate to.
Yeah,
whether it's
yeah.
implemented. So
I can't wait.
same.
Oh,
Yeah, it's gonna be
Speaking
actually,
of,
exciting.
oh,
John, can you fast track the horn? Because man, I think we need like an awesome horn,
The
like a
horn.
yeah. So like,
For what? Can you explain?
I think for Zol's Great Hunt, because at the moment there's no
Oh.
sound to it. You summon Zol, and then like all your
Yeah.
units get all the speed and stuff. But imagine that with a horn.
a horn.
Oh man,
Yes.
no, but see that's the thing. I'm not gonna be happy. We Orzum's got to get his due first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Orzum's been casting that
soundless.
placeholder pillar, and man,
True.
we got to get some real
Yeah.
deal in there.
Priorities, right? Awesomeness versus
But
True. True.
it's
Yeah.
all gonna be in there soon, man. And when I
yeah.
say soon, I mean TM.
Yeah.
Team. Yeah. That's a
But
soon
it's in
team
the
for
works.
sure. Yeah.
It is.
It's in the
Oh,
works, yeah.
so we only got a few minutes left, Toby, man. But honestly, well, I was gonna ask you right after all this, and as far as the implementation of this last set of patches, where do you guys plan to go from here, right? As far as tech, is it more about seeing what the response is, or do you guys have ideas that you don't necessarily have to share? But of course, we do encourage it for sure.
Like short term for
Yeah,
the new patches.
sure.
Um. Yeah. I mean, there's new stuff coming.
Yeah, soon, TM.
I mean, the key thing obviously is that the immortal stuff in at the moment is iterating. Like it's experimental stuff, right? So
Hmm.
when we put it in and it doesn't work, we change it. And so yeah, a bunch of it's getting changed. Like we play the game and we see the feedback and we're like, oh, yep,
Yeah, that's
we agree.
basically
Like let's do
exactly.
something else.
Exactly.
And
How
so
you guys
yeah,
fixed
it's
that? Well, let's
exciting
break
time.
it even more. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a great time to be a playtest because you just get to see all this like creation happening. You know, like you get to try the iteration, be like, yeah, okay, and then the next one comes out, you're like, oh, okay, let's try
yeah,
that one instead. Like, yeah,
I
so
agree.
that
I
should be
agree.
good, and it's fun to make. Like, I really enjoy making new kits for stuff because the abilities and effects generally aren't too hard to put in at this point because we've kind of got enough systems in place. Occasionally,
Mhm.
something kind of tricky comes along. Um, like there might be something kind of tricky coming up for the new um like variation on the Ajari Ultimate, but
Gotcha.
um yeah, for the most part it's very fun to work on the kind of new abilities and things. So yeah.
Toby, we
Word.
got a really philosophical question in the chat.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Jorah?
Windjora. Yeah.
Poor Toby.
Oh my goodness. There's so much to do when you're making a game that like Oh my god, win Jorah indeed. I want to play Jorah. I want
Yeah,
to put in
I want to
Jorah.
play Jorah. Yeah,
Yeah,
Everybody I
you
know
know,
is so excited. Jorah is going to be
so
a
sick.
lot of fun,
yeah.
Yeah,
and we're
Well,
very excited.
it's definitely fun looking over what's coming as well. Like it's kind of seeing like the designs being proposed and these kind of things, and be like, oh, okay.
uh
Like
huh.
you start to envision it in your head, and you're like, oh,
You
but I
know,
can't say anything. It's gonna be so
Yeah,
long
yeah,
until I
yeah.
finally do it.
I
Yeah,
don't know what it is about Jorah. I was talking to our composer the other day, and even it was just like it's like, oh man, dude, Jorah, it's so cool.
just something.
And it's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
something about it. It's like, oh, it's nice.
Yeah, no, and
yeah, yeah.
I love that there's like still stuff in the over the horizon, right? That's like,
Yeah, it's
oh,
good as
still
well when like there's something that people are clearly excited for, you know? Like
mm-hmm.
they're clearly like not just like, oh, new faction. They're actually like, oh, but Jorah though, like
Jorah. Like it's
let's
not, yeah, it's not like what
yeah,
is this
yeah.
mystery new, faction? It's like there's already hype around it, and just like, oh, I
Yeah, yeah.
cannot wait. And
Yeah,
even
yeah.
after that, but wait, there's more too, right? So, oof, we're only getting started. But unfortunately for this show, we're getting coming to an end. Yeah. So I would like to ask you too if there's anything else quick that you'd want to mention or talk about, that you're working on, that you've done and accomplished, perhaps that hasn't been shared yet.
Nothing like super crazy. I
Maybe something that starts with L and ends in and X.
oh, that's right. Yeah. I forgot about that. Oh, dude, I was, dude. Okay, yeah. No, that is absolutely worth mentioning. All right, so
Could be a super tease.
Yeah.
no, yeah, this is a tease for sure. Hopefully, it's not that far away, so it's not just blue balling everyone as well. um, on the latest build, we did a test on the internal server that we have. When we ran the server on a different kind of Linux setup, and the performance was very good, very good indeed. Um, we ran like the most ridiculous armies we could come up with, and it was pretty much smooth. So fingers
A
crossed.
yes,
Fingers crossed.
a technical achievement.
Yeah,
If
I mean,
not,
shout out to the India team for sure, because this was like all them getting set up with like platform stuff.
right,
Um,
but
and we just like supported them by basically making sure our code didn't break what they were doing.
right. So there it is.
um,
There's that the super
but
teaser.
yeah, it's been a whole thing actually. Like, there's been a whole lot of stuff in the background to make it like possible. But yeah, basically we tried it out and it ran super smoothly, and so we're hoping to roll it out soon to everyone. And we don't know how it's going to work in the real live thing, but man, fingers crossed, it's going to be
Yeah.
a big upgrade.
Word. All right. So guys and gals, thank you so much for tuning in. And yo, Toby, this has been an awesome Pyreside. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to
Yeah,
This
have
is
yeah.
you.
great.
By the way,
With
check
Big
out
Jon again.
all these
Who
raffle
won?
winners. Look
Who
at
won?
this.
Who won?
Dude,
Cowfoot.
we got Countfoots.
User 1226. Kalani. We got Venom ZXP and Daisy 1 star. Hey, that's my girl. Hey. We're gonna get her into it too. So you get a key.
Nice.
You get a key. Keys for everybody. So big thank
You
you.
get a key. Yeah. Yeah.
Congrats,
Awesome.
guys.
I also just want to shout out the like little tech team, the little group, because man, they make my life so much better.
Hell yeah.
Honestly, like all the people that I interact with on a regular basis, like it expands obviously to everyone in the company, but in particular like Travis and obviously Nawal for like a long time. Man, so good to work with, and they make things just like a pleasure. And then obviously there's all the people around it, like Harry and Donovan, who's such a tech dabbler, despite being the level 9,000 creative intern. Like,
Indeed, right?
and then like
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
there's like all the India team and stuff now. Man, it's such a good like yeah.
A lot of
Seriously, shout
great
out to them.
things to come and a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
great
yeah,
people that are part of this game too, right? Like, and just make this, make it such a good time to actually wake up and work on this
yeah,
game too, right? It
yeah.
could be a miserable experience, but no, it's
Got
not.
to get you from the bed to the chair, like.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes. So especially when there's carpeting, right? Friction. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
right. Yeah, so
By
for
the way,
those that did
guys,
win, Oh, yep. Go for it, John.
Well, I was just gonna say, by the way, guys, if you got a key and you want to get into the game, you message Kip on Discord. His info is in the chat right now. It's Kip and then pound 5713. Or sorry, Kevin and then Kip in quotations, pound 5713. You can message him there, and he'll get you your keys and get you set up and get you playing Immortal.
Indeed. And so please do, because it's an awesome game, and we do love to take new blood in and make sure that you guys have a good time when you first start playing, so that you can also become a god tier playtester, so that Toby can figure out more things to fix. Yeah, give him something to do every day. So thank you guys so much, Toby, as well, Big Jon, and obviously Kip in the background running production. Another Pyreside for the books. Hope you guys got a nice little look into the world of tech as well as New Zealand. Perhaps you'll visit someday, but hopefully you'll visit us next month for the October episode of Pyreside, where we might actually be diving a little bit more into that design and actually, more into creative. I would say we might dabble in a little bit of some creative, right? So a little bit of a teaser there, and we'll see you next month. Let me just get the right date. October 7th.
October
like,
7th.
Oh.
See you guys
I
then.
went in there, yeah. October 7th. Yep, same bat time, same bat channel. So take care, everybody. Have an awesome Friday, and we'll see you next month.
See you guys.
See ya.